Well, it looks like Letecia Stauch is at it again. Recently, there was a court hearing on Friday, April 30th, in regards to the division of assets in the marriage of Letecia and Al Stauch. Every time there's a court hearing, it seems like there's some sort of obstacle, whether it's a complaint or surprise or some sort of shenanigans. And this hearing is no different. If you're new here, please hit that subscribe button and hit that notification bell. I cover all things true crime here at It's a Crime and love to connect the dots in cases and expose patterns. I also love anything DNA and cracking code. So now, let's get into it. So on Friday, April 30th, court was in session, but Letecia Stauch decided not to show up. And she decided not to give anybody a heads up about it. So the court thought, well, maybe we'll do a WebEx meeting, except all the time slots were filled. And then it was reported that the court reporter asked Al if Letecia was physically disabled. And Al said no. The court reporter said that she was seen in a wheelchair. Now, not sure what that's about, but I'm sure there's going to be some sort of letter that shows up soon or something. What are your thoughts? Let me know about that and the wheelchair in the comments below. So the judge enters the room. His name's Judge Miller, and he goes into looking at the 2 competency reports that were completed. The last one that was completed, I believe, at the end of December or beginning of January. He called one of the reports the most thorough he's ever seen. Now, what's interesting is he reviewed these evaluations to see if his impressions of her theatrics or theatrical performance matched the reports. He did describe Letecia's behavior, and he said it was like no other detachment from reality he has ever seen. Then he refers to what he witnessed. He said he witnessed Letecia acting as if there were other people in the room, except the room was empty. And he also said that he watched her chasing what seemed to be invisible butterflies. Now, I have witnessed one of these shenanigans as well, where she was spinning around the room while looking at the ceiling and then flicking the light on and off. And actually, while she was spinning, she was going, oh, that kind of thing. And it's very bizarre behavior. But in my opinion, and many of you watching, your opinion is that she is making this up. Now, the judge actually compared Letecia's actions to the 3 Stooges, and he believes she is feigning a mental illness. But he decided that if Letecia is competent to do her criminal case, then she is competent to proceed in this civil case, and he says we'll press on. And he also noted that because Letecia decided not to show up in person and was unable to appear on WebEx, he says she was knowingly making the choice not to speak up during the property discussions. Now, it was said letters were written to both Al and his attorney, which is no surprise. We know she loves to write letters, especially to the judge, and this does not surprise me. Let me know what you think in the comments below. She claims she had a publishing deal and also a Poshmark account. Now, for those of you who don't know, a Poshmark account is kind of like an eBay concept. You can sell your clothing on there. And Letecia, way back a year ago, was selling things like name brand purses and clothing. In the letter, she also said that she expects to be exonerated and plans to write a book about her experiences. Now, we do hear in other letters that she writes that she feels she's 100% confident in her innocence. She also said in this letter, apparently, that she plans to file a civil suit when she's released. And it was noted that Al says he won't argue over her Poshmark account or the publishing deal. He says, she's done a lot of things that people might question her about. None of it surprises me at this point. Doesn't surprise us either. And it was also reported that Al gave up the French bulldog that he gave Letecia for Christmas and their anniversary. Then they talked about firearms, and it was noted that there are 4 different firearms that were in police possession. And it was said that if any of these guns were used in the murder of Gannon, that the judge ordered that it would be destroyed. And if it can't be, then it would be given to Al to do so. Now remember, we don't know what yet was the murder weapon or weapons. And in the court documents from last year, they used the terms of blunt object, firearm, or knife. Al was interviewed by Spencer Wilson and said, some of the things we had to discuss about him, meaning Gannon, drew some emotions, but yeah, he's always at the forefront, right there with his sister. You know, she's got a life ahead of her as well as dealing with this. So they'll never be separated in my mind. Also, since Letecia's arrest last March, 2 of Al's vehicles have been in police custody, and he is still making monthly payments on these vehicles for around $1,000 a month. Also, it was stated both Al and Letecia will maintain their own retirement accounts. In my opinion, I think Letecia has found a retirement home. Let me know what your thoughts are below. As for Letecia, things are going to start getting a little interesting. Judge Warner had warned her a few months ago that if you decide not to show up, or if things are starting to happen and you're playing games, so to speak, that there's going to be a lawyer appointed for you and the trial will go on. So she is pulling shenanigans, and up to this point we have wondered if she was actually going to follow through and represent herself in this case. Now, recently she had just had her law library access revoked for 90 days, which brings us into July. I believe it was around July 7th. And there she was going to see the 26,000 pages of the discovery. She was able to see the core discovery, I think, which was about 1,800 pages in her cell, and she was able to keep it as long as it was kept neatly. However, the 26,000 pages was supposed to be accessed at the law library because it was digital. Now she refused to go to the law library. She started talking about, sleeping all day and coming up with these other things. So it's very interesting. Now, Al Stauch also said at the end of this hearing on Friday, he says, just the fact that I don't have to think about this anymore and that it's done is a huge weight lifted. Al also talked about lawyer costs, and he said he has accrued thousands of dollars in attorney fees. One could imagine, especially with Letecia playing these games and things happening and popping up. I mean, it's going to get costly. Lawyers aren't cheap. He says it's a complex situation, as you know. Nothing will trump the loss for me and Landon and for Lena that we feel every day with Gannon. But then to compound it with financial issues, the emotional stress, and just having to live with these things going on. As I said, some of the weight has been lifted after today, but we still have a long ways to go, and we're going to make it all the way through. Now, there's been a GoFundMe that has been set up by Al's uncle, and Al's attorney says it's more than $75,000 so far between all the family court appearances. Al is now asking for help from the public to help pay for these debts, with more costs obviously that will be coming. And also it's been quoted as well as supporting what's right in justice that is coming. I will have that link to the GoFundMe in the description box below. Now, as at the time of this recording, they have raised so far $2,500 of a $75,000 goal. And Al says, throughout the whole process, the past year, almost a year and a half now, a big pillar of our resolve have been from the community. So now there is another court date that has just been set for this Wednesday, May the 5th. And Letecia's preliminary hearing is set for May 20th and 21st of the month. This is when we'll start seeing evidence and witnesses, and also it said that the FBI witnesses will be on the stand. Letecia's actions just get more and more bizarre, don't they? We just got to make it to that preliminary hearing, which is only a few weeks away. It doesn't seem like the actions of an innocent person, in my opinion. The faster that this preliminary hearing can happen, the faster that justice can be served, and Landon and Al and the family can all start to heal instead of watch this circus. Let's have a chat below. Subscribe if you haven't done so already. Please like, and don't forget to share. Thank you so much for watching. See you soon.